Hey there, in today's video, I am taking you along as I make a canvas painting for my daughter who wanted a rainbow and kind of brighter colors. So I'm kind of taking you on the journey of how it is to create something that is a little bit out of your regular repertoire of colors or your color palette, for example, and yet how to make it kind of your own as well. So I feel like I was able to merge those two things. I was able to use bright colors, but I also dulled those down. I was able to add a bunch of texture, which is totally me, and which I think added some additional feel or grit to the painting. So I just feel like it was a great mixed media project, even though I really only used collage and then paint. I didn't use a lot of other materials, but I feel like it was fun, and I'm hoping that you guys are then piques your interest to like, oh, it was pretty easy, and I did it in a fairly short amount of time because it was a simple. I wasn't trying to create something from scratch. I know what the shape of a rainbow is. I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do, but at the same time, sometimes you just need to jump in, and I was a little hesitant there at the beginning. It's like, oh, I don't even know how to start. So sometimes you just got to start, and then as you see in my process, I paint over and over and over and over again until I get to a final result that I think is that works. So anyway, I hope that you enjoy this and that it spurs on your creativity. So let's get started. To get started, I thought I'd tell you what I have. I'm going to use a 12 by 12 inch canvas. It is the thick edge. I think it's it's a 1.5 inch edged canvas. And I like those because I don't typically frame my art. I like it. I just paint the sides and hang it like that. If you're going to frame your art, obviously you can use the thinner edge or even a flat panel. You could even do this project in a art journal if you want. So, but like I said, I am painting this for my daughter, so I want to put it on a canvas that she can just hang right on the wall. I have to start. I shouldn't speak in always, but generally I start either by, I would have this canvas off to the side and I would clean my paintbrushes off on it until it built up some layers. Or I start with collage paper down because, like most of you maybe have heard, or when I've mentioned in many videos, that I love a lot of texture. And so in order to get that without building up paint, I use different book papers and different ephemera. I just grabbed a small stash because this isn't a very large canvas. I don't need a lot. So I have some book paper and a variety of just other things that I might put on. This handmade paper has a really great texture with some flowers on it. And these tickets I thought might be fun somewhere. And then I like the vintage pattern paper, or even not vintage, because it has interesting text and lines and things on it. So I don't know what I'm going to use. I'm just going to get started. We'll set this off to the side. I also have kind of an oldish paintbrush. I'm going to pour my matte medium directly into this little jar or container here so that I can work out of that. And then I also have my catalyst wedge so that I can scrape it down if I need to. So I typically when I'm working, I will just, I like to slather a bunch on here because even though this is primed, it tends to soak up the matte medium, and I'm sorry if that's making it's like it's not sitting flat on there. So I like to put a coat on, and because this is small, it's not going to dry before. Well, if you're in a hot climate, it might, but it's not going to dry before I get to it. Plus, it's going to help me when I'd apply some more. It won't be soaking up into it. I hope that's making sense. So typically, you put this on and it soaks in, and so you can't. When you put the paper on, you're like, oh my gosh, I need to add more, because of course you do. But this helps when I do that. So I like smaller pieces. I could put this on directly, but I like smaller pieces because then that gives me more texture. If I laid it down like this would all be flat. There would be no texture here. There would only be texture where the edges are. So I like to just randomly rip it. I will say I like to put my straight edges, and you wouldn't have to, on. So I use a straight edge along the edge of the canvas because then, I don't know, I just kind of like that. So I don't know why I do that, but to me it makes sense. And I like the look of just having that straight edge there. You could certainly do it anyway. It doesn't have to go clear to the edge. I just like to have every bit of it covered in case something comes through. And I don't mind a wrinkle, but I do not want an air bubble. And this paper is thin, so it should be able to adhere. So, okay, so I just continue. I might mix up my papers so that they're not all the same. And maybe I do this one in this direction. So it's really just about putting the paper down, applying the matte medium underneath and over the top. You could also have put the matte medium on directly onto the paper. And sometimes I do that if I'm not working, if I have another surface that I'm working on. So let's see, I still have a little bit of a bubble there, which I do not want. And there we go. Sometimes, like that's why you need a lot of matte medium underneath in order for it to not bubble. Otherwise, if it bubbles, then the paper can pull up. Okay, now I'm using the, I have a little container here, but I'm used to just squirting it right on. And maybe that's what I need. I just need a lot. But if it bubbles up, then it actually isn't adhering to the surface below, and then it can pull up down the road, or when you put stuff over the top, there's just this air pocket underneath. Whereas a wrinkle is securely down, an air bubble means that it isn't secure and it's not attached to the surface below. So there is a difference between a wrinkle and a bubble, hopefully that makes some sense. And if I have to, I will just pull this up. And yeah, I'm just gonna put some more matte medium underneath. This paper is real, I like working with vintage papers because typically they're very thin and they're easy to lay down. Unlike like cardstock is a little harder because you might have to use more like a gel medium or something that's a thicker glue to get that down on that surface. So, all right, I'm gonna continue. I don't know that there's, and I don't mind this. Here's what's happening. This junk down here, this is coming off my catalyst wedge. Most of you probably take better care and you get all the stuff off, the paint off beforehand. I don't really do that, and I don't mind what happens with those random pieces because one, I'm probably gonna cover them up, and two, it just kind of adds to it. I'm very much, I try not to be overly precise or perfectionistic, and that's why I like mixed media art, is it allows for kind of those things that randomly happen versus you're trying to create something that's, I'm gonna use these little pieces at the end, and maybe even this, and maybe even this. So I will focus on using these pieces. Let's use this one up here. Okay, and as I'm doing this, I think I'll just fast forward and you can just watch me, and when I get done with this, then we will come back.
I know better than to call back. I missed your call, I finally think I'm fine with that. I know it hurts when love bites back, but it's your fault, I wish you'd just accept that. I got a better place to be, where the only focus is me. Neon waitlist got me feeling like I'm flying. I've been holding on to these dreams, I'm ready to take the leap, 'cause I've been holding back and it all stops now.
All right, I have all the collage paper down that I'm going to use. And you might have noticed that I waited to use some of these other more, I don't know if they're called special, I'm calling them specialty pieces, to the end, because I wanted to kind of get most everything else down and then use those kind of strategically, although I'm not really sure. I may turn it this way, I don't know, but I like the idea of a line kind of coming across here, even though I'm not really sure because it's going to be a rainbow, so it doesn't really matter. The texture isn't probably going to be seen. I mean, the words in the text are probably not going to be seen, but it does, I do kind of go through this similar process, even if I was going to do like a charcoal sketch over the top. So I kind of have a system for how I like doing it, and I'm sure you'll have one too, but I just wanted you to watch and see how I put down my papers when I'm just beginning so that I can have some texture and have something to then respond to as I continue on with my painting. So I'm gonna let this dry, and then we will come back with the next step of doing this painting. This is completely dry now, the matte medium, and I could have taken a dryer. I have a heat tool to dry it, but I decided I kind of like it to dry naturally. Sometimes it just feels like it adheres better than with the heat, and I had a little bit of time to spare, so it was fine. So this is completely dry, and I'm ready to get started. Now, because I'm doing a rainbow, it's not my traditional color palette that I'm going to be putting out, and I probably will be dulling down these colors, but I wanted to have an assortment so that I could kind of pick and choose. I may put all of them down, but I just don't know how it's going to go, honestly. So I'll stop talking, because the process is, you just don't know where it's going to lead. But I grabbed all Liquitex just to simplify: a light blue permanent, the vivid lime green, cadmium yellow deep hue, cadmium red light, cadmium orange, medium magenta. I also grabbed a raw umber, a neutral gray, and the titanium white. Off to the side, I have a Payne's gray and the unbleached titanium, because this makes me nervous. It's too bright for me, but I'm also trying to remember that this painting is not for me, it's for my daughter. So I think what I'm going to do, I just wanted to tell you that before I squirt them all out. And then I'm just gonna get started. And yeah, I'm resisting right now because I am not really sure, even though a rainbow is super simple, but I want it to look cute, and I'm not really sure what's gonna go around it. And like anytime when you begin making something, it is a little, there is always some anxiety. I mean, putting down the collage paper, that's the easy part. That's the next step that always trips me up. So anyway, I also have some paintbrushes, a bunch of paintbrushes. I have a catalyst wedge and a palette knife. I have all assortment of other paintbrushes and mark making tools and things off to the side, which I can grab and bring in at any time. So I think we need to just get started. I just wanted to show you the colors I was using. There was really no rhyme or reason. I just knew I wanted kind of one of each color. And so I didn't specifically, and the brightest ones I had. And some of these tubes, I mean, I don't think they've ever been used. So, well, some of them have, a couple of them haven't. So anyway, okay, let's get on to the painting. All my paint is out and I'm ready to begin. And normally or often, you would sketch this out on here. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go for it, and then I'm going to paint as I'm sketching, or sketch as I'm painting, I guess is what I want to say. So a lot of times you would, create an outline or give yourself some parameters, but because I'm trying to do this a little bit looser, I'm just going to go for it. And I'm actually just going to kind of go in this order, and then, because I'm going to do multiple layers and we're just going to see how it goes. So what I will do is I will kind of talk and I will be quiet, and I'll talk and be quiet, and this may end up being part of it fast forward, part of it slowed down, not, like regular speed when I'm talking. So for the most part, I'm not going to do any mixing right out of the gate. I'm going to try to just, I'm just going to take I guess I need more than that. Just going to take some paint and start making like the initial rainbow. And I'm not sure if it's going to go all the way to the ground. Like I said, I kind of have some ideas, but I kind of don't know. And this, I can see right out of the gate, might require a whole bunch of paintbrushes unless I want to mix them, which eventually I might. And I can see already, I kind of skewed it to one side. But actually, I don't mind that either, because I kind of like things less centered. I like things not as centered, so that makes sense. I'm gonna grab this big pad over here and I'm gonna set it off to the side so that I can maybe put my paintbrushes. You won't be able to see it over here because otherwise they're just gonna go, and then I can keep them separated by color because I don't mind mixing them, but to start, I think I wanna have them so I can kind of see what I got going. And because some of the colors I may not actually make it all the way to the end, but this will kind of give me an idea. Everybody gets a paintbrush, every color, okay. And some colors are more opaque than others, like this red. And I do think I want the lines thicker, but I think I'm just gonna go continue and try to get every color in and then assess if I don't want all the colors, which I may not. And I know I won't probably leave them quite as bright as they are. I need one more brush. Okay. Now every color has their own. Actually, this is cute. If you had, if you were doing something in a bright space, I don't use bright colors. And I would never, I mean, I have them, but I don't really use them because back in the day I bought them, not really thinking. Okay, so that's phase one. And let's see where we're gonna go. We're gonna go from there. I'm already thinking I may move one of the colors further in. I think maybe I made the blue a little too big because maybe I want this to be the sky out here. So I'm going to mix a little, let's see how this turns out. I might need to bring in that Payne's Gray. And I didn't leave myself much room for color mixing here, but let's just bring in a dab of that Payne's Gray because that's gonna be blue. And I'm trying not to put my hand in front of that and add a little bit of this in there too. Okay, so maybe let's say the sky is up here. It doesn't have to be fully in, but, and I would like some of that text to show through, but you know, the reality is it was more for, yeah, kind of like that. It was more for texture than it was anything else. Okay, and we can decide about that. All right, and so I think what I'll do is go ahead and move that pink in here. And again, I'm not really sure if all the colors will end up, they will end up making it, and it could be that I do it even smaller. So I'm not sure what I want in there. What would I do? Maybe I do a little bit of, let's do a little, I'll just use this brush, gray and white and see what happens. Just to kind of get something in there. Maybe it's some green and some brown. That looks kind of sad, doesn't it? I'm gonna grab my color shaper and pull some of that off. And then I'm gonna take this and I'm going to wipe it on a page behind me. I could, because I don't like to waste any paint. So that's just getting over there on some collage paper. Okay, so maybe this has to be a brighter white. Maybe it needs to be kind of yellow because the sun is coming through, the rain's coming. Not sure. That's the thing. You start and you just don't know where it's gonna go. All right, next step, I'm gonna start kind of dulling some of these colors, and then I just have to keep going because ultimately it's fine however it turns out, but I wanna dull down some of these colors now that I have them on there. I like that the brightness will peek through, and maybe it's a little more crazy than it is so contained and so proper the way I initially did it. It's like we gotta mix it up, and I do like some good color mixing, so these colors can blend together, and I just think it makes it a little more fun. Okay, and let's go on to the green. Let's add some brown into that green. Might have brought too much. that's okay. Maybe I bring some green in here. Maybe I make that into a sun. Actually, that might be cute. I did another rainbow in my grandkids, the room I made for my grandkids here at the house. And I can kind of replicating that a little bit, maybe. That's a good idea. All right, so let's go on to the yellow. I just kind of want to, I don't know. I just don't know how it's going to play out. So sometimes you just got to mix and paint, and then eventually it turns into what you're thinking.
I know better than to call back. I missed your call. I finally think I'm fine with that. I know it.
I think I've made a few decisions just by looking at it, walking away, coming back. I think I'm going to combine the red and the orange, and I think I'm going to maybe make a sun. I went up and looked at the rainbow that I did in the other room, and I had a sun kind of beaming out. So I think I'm going to start there, and just maybe I'll start with that sun and see if it looks good. I can always paint over it if I don't like it. So I kind of did something like this, and you know, rainbows come from sun and rain, and so and then I had something like this, and she did get the idea from the one I did in there. So I'm not sure that's quite right, but okay, that kind of gives me the gist of it. Maybe that sun's a little too big. Okay, I think it is. So this is it. You got to go back and forth, and now I need another paintbrush. I did also give myself some more paint when I was over there, in between, because it was like I could tell that I wasn't gonna have enough when I started back again. So
I know better than to call back. I missed your call. I finally think I'm fine with that. I know it.
all right, I'm kind of liking it better. Just the more I mess with it, I like it just enough better and better, just by adding colors on top of colors, and even if it's the same color, just kind of adding a little bit of gray or brown, or even just the colors mixing. Just, it's kind of cool.
Love bites back, but it's your fault. I wish you'd just accept that. I got a better place to be, where the only focus is me. Me and weightless got me feeling like I'm flying. I've been holding on to these dreams. I'm ready to take the leap, 'cause I've been holding back, and it all stops now.
All right, I think it's coming along. It's maybe not quite there. And what I'll do is carve in to kind of get my idea. Okay, so the sun maybe like that, with some rays coming out. This way I can kind of see what I want to do. Is that sun still too big? Okay, let's take our color shaper, smooth it out, and try again. Yeah, maybe that's more like it. You know, constantly thinking and rethinking it is sometimes you just have to do it. And that's why I didn't actually, in the first place, draw, because I kind of like what happens organically. And I feel like this is a simple enough thing that it shouldn't require drawing, really. I mean, it could, but okay. And I'm going to use, I need a really kind of thinner, I'm going to grab, you know, maybe I'll just do this. I'll use my color shaper and just make some marks like this. Kind of wanted them thinner. Okay, that's kind of cool. Okay, and then I want to put some white back in there. And that's good because I just like to keep paint over and back and forth. So one time, even though if this covers up what I did, then that's fine. Then I go back over it and I kind of like the texture that lends itself to. And I don't know if you noticed, but the row of tickets right here, it is very exaggerated, and I kind of like it. I mean, I know it's, I don't know, had bothered some people, but I kind of like how there's just this random texture right there. So I'm good with that. And that's kind of why I put the collage down in the first place, because there's just unexpected results that happen that you can't get typically if you think too much about it. It just can't happen because things have to happen kind of organically. And okay, so I feel like this rainbow, the pink goes too high. Okay, let's change that out a little bit. What is happening here? Okay, all right, there we go. Wow, okay. And then now maybe the green comes in. I might need some more green, but but you see how you can just keep shaping and reshaping, and the more you do that, it just lends itself to more colors. The colors just mix, and it becomes more interesting than if it was just, oh, I'm going to take each color, I'm going to mark it out, and then I'm going to just have it be perfect. I feel like it just makes it a little more fun, in my opinion. And I think the unexpected is what I really enjoy. So, and I know that's not for everybody. So I totally get it if you need to do it in a different way. So. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to continue to go over these until I feel like they're the right color. And that's kind of the right, I don't know, what I think looks the right way. So I'm going to do this again with the sun. I kind of like the organicness of, like, it's just not one ray. I've decided that maybe I'll make this blue red. Let's see what happens. And it doesn't matter what happens, right? Just go for it. And I can just keep painting over these. I can paint over them and over them until it's done. So what I want to do though is make the red more red than the orange, and the orange more orange, so that we have some differentiation there. And again, I like what's happening with the red over the blue. I like that. Okay, actually, I may have to paint over all the colors now that I mention. You know what I might do? Maybe I'll make the orange the next one, and I'll do a really light orange. All right, I'm gonna try that. Now I'm wondering, maybe I'll bring in some, I don't know, so we'll try some white, some kind of cloudy, we'll see. I'm not sure about that, but, because I'm not sure if I want to bring in another color across the top. Maybe a darker, maybe I'll try the Payne's Gray. I think I tried that before, but maybe I will add some white to that. All right, I think I will add some orange around the top here. No, I added orange here. Oh my goodness, I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my colors. then take my Catalyst wedge. I do like to do this and just kind of rough it up a little bit. When I start getting overthinking it, I know what I need to do. So a little bit of color everywhere, and then I just paint over it. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna let it dry. I'm liking this better now that I did that last round with the mark making and with kind of messing it up a little bit. Although I've kind of mentioned that I like things simpler, I also don't like things perfect. And so when it feels like it's just too much of the same, I don't like it. But I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a little bit of white into the sky, which actually maybe I'll add it with this brush that has the blue on it. And I feel like I want some light spots, which I tried to do kind of earlier, but just a little bit here and there to add some variation, whether it's perceived as clouds or whatever. I can always paint over it if it's not something that I end up liking. So I do like that some of the orange and yellow got up here in this part of the painting. But yeah, I do like when there's some variation. Now this is probably too much, so I probably will go back over it with the blue again. It's kind of this dance of going back and forth and back and forth. So I think I'm good. The pink is looking a little too flat for me, that I need a little bit more variation in it. Maybe I'll add a little bit of the gray back and some white. I just take it a little bit different color. It's getting closer though. I'm feeling better and better each time I go over it. My daughter's favorite color is pink, so I really want to emphasize the pink. I might kind of make it a little bit bigger there. Okay.
I know better than to call back. I missed your call. I finally think I'm fine with that. I know it hurts when love bites back, but it's your fault. I wish you'd just accept that. I got a better place to be, where the only focus is me. The away list got me feeling like I'm flying. I've been holding on to these dreams. I'm ready to take the leap, 'cause I've been holding that in your stars.
But that kind of helps. Okay, I think it's starting to get there. We're getting close. Trying to decide if I want to make some more marks in there or not. I feel like I do, because it feels, you know what I do want to do? Okay, I start off one way and then I go in another direction. I'm going to grab another paintbrush, and I'm just going to grab some of this Payne's Gray and the brown. Just add a little bit here and there, and I'm sure I'm going to paint over it, but I just feel like there's not enough variation in darks and lights, and sometimes a hit of something can help, and I'll paint over it, but it's kind of under there, even here a little bit maybe. Okay, just a little bit. Okay, I think I have to let it dry again. Actually, before that, let's put that over here. I think I'll go in with the blue one more time. I don't know, I just really like that effect by going back and forth and adding and taking away. And I like the little pops of orange and yellow that are coming through, the texture. We're really close to being finished. I'm gonna have to let it dry for another couple minutes, 5 minutes maybe, and then I'll come back and I think we'll be finished. I really thought I was gonna make some changes or add, or maybe even paint over some of that dark Payne's Gray raw umber mix that I had put in there, but I actually like how it looks, and I don't think. I actually took it and set it up on the wall so that I could see it in a different way versus just looking down on it the way I'm working now. And I would highly recommend that you do that. If you're working on something and you're facing down, put it up on the wall and step back from it and see what you think. I think there's a few things I might touch up. I might add all my brushes are completely mixed in like a crazy way. But I was like, I was thinking I might add a little bit of white in here. That's not good. Let's take the yellow maybe and add a little white to it. Just felt like maybe it needed a little more contrast here, but now of course I'm adding in and it's not doing what I need to do because I think I need a completely new brush. But other than that, I'm really feeling like this is actually gonna be, it's gonna be fine the way it is. Yeah, so just a little bit lighter color around here, really subtle, but just kind of going over it. Obviously, letting it dry a little bit. It's still tacky, but I can kind of paint over it without it completely mixing. So if I'm just kind of careful as I go. So let's add a little bit over here. Maybe a little bit right here. Now I want to add a little bit of yellow right there. That blue had kind of made it not exactly what I wanted. So, but otherwise, I think this is good. So maybe I'll grab a palette knife, a small one, because then I'm just gonna add a little hit without rubbing the paint all the way in. So, okay, that's good. So I think I'm done. And what I'm going to do next is, and I'm not going to show this part, but on the edges, I typically paint that a color. And let me grab it real quick. I usually use on my sides this ivory black Blick Artist Acrylic. I get it in the tubs, and I have a lot. That way, no matter, because I have canvases stacked up all over the place, and I should probably get those edge protectors when I put them down, but I just touch up the edges with this paint. I always know that this is the exact paint. It's gonna have the same sheen, everything about it's gonna look the same. But because this is more of it's going in because it's for my daughter, I think she would prefer, I might do a gray on the sides, and I'll probably use this, and it's not gonna be in my space. I'll probably just use this neutral gray. That way it's just very subtle on the sides, but in general, I try to use the same color so that I always know exactly what I need to put on there. So I think, actually, now that I'm looking at it, I am gonna grab a little bit more green right here and just touch this up a little bit. And I had remembered I was gonna do that. But otherwise, I think it's good. I'm gonna show you, I think well, I know she is. She wants it in her bathroom, and this is my daughter that's young at heart, and she loves pink and babies and puppies and, you know, anything that's very sweet. And in her bathroom, she'd asked me to paint this a while ago, and I just kind of kept putting it off. I don't know why, but I think it's because it's not necessarily my color palette. I think she's gonna like it. I feel like, even though this isn't my color palette, I embraced like the brightness. I dulled down some of the colors. I added a little bit of grunge to it. I feel like it's a combination of me, and yet it's something that I think she's really gonna like, and it'll be hanging in her bathroom, and I think it'll make her happy. So I would suggest, if you ever step outside your color palette and are making something that isn't quite you, that you can always have hints of yourself in whatever it is that you're making. And I don't really do, I don't typically do requests, because I feel like I can't paint outside of what I know, but other than, you know, for my family. But sometimes it is good to try new things and to experiment a little bit, because here's the thing, you will come out in whatever it is you're painting. I started with a lot of collage papers, so there's a lot of texture, which is totally me. And then even the colors that I used, I feel like there is an element of myself in them, even though I'm making it for somebody else. So anyway, I just wanted to take you along on this journey while I was painting this, making this painting for my daughter. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you get out there and maybe use some bright colors, do something very cheerful, and I will make sure I include a photo of this hanging up so you can see what it looks like in its completed state. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.